say this for everybody, but I have to say this is something very special for all of us. This award is called the Fatherhood Legacy Award. Can y'all say Fatherhood Legacy Award?
Fatherhood Legacy Award.
Presented to Anthony, that was Tony again.
I noticed.
Tony Bell, for founders of the Fatherhood Movement in Russell, Pennsylvania. And dated today, signature FCC. This is what it looks like. That's you, Brother Tony.
Thank you, man. Only ones who call me Anthony is people I went to high school with and my in-laws. So, okay? My name's Tony. We started the Fathers Program. Melvin was back there. But we was in direct services. And we was out there pounding the beat, visiting fathers at their house, teaching them the difference between motherhood and fatherhood. And we did those type of things to teach them about fatherhood. We learned, I'm just going to say, I learned this with the fathers, is that fathers introduce kids through exploration, right, and independence. Mothers, y'all the secured person. Those type of things. That's why there's a conflict sometimes with the family between mothers and fathers, because we have to understand our roles. And I just want to say thank you very much for this. I've been retired for the last 8 years, and Melvin gave me a call the other day. I said, you know what? This is Melvin calling me. So he has that type of clout, so he'll give his brother a hand.
Yeah. Call him Hit It and Quit It. Brother JB. Brother Johnathan T. Backers.
Johnathan Backers.
Program, Healthy Start.
Right, that's when it all started, back in 1995. And we couldn't have done it with some of the hard-working people we had, like Brother Larry Davis is here today, Brother George Flemming. All of you all played a critical role in the collaborations and the pursuit of trying to raise the awareness of the importance and vital nature of the father and the life of the child. So it's good to see everybody. Larry, thank you. And all the other brothers that were a part of making this a success. Thank you.
And without women coming to the table, bringing the valuable experiences, and also what I call, more so than the nurturing part of it, I thought the women who came involved in this brought that certain vision that we as fathers, we as men didn't have, that you had, and together we were able to do some wonderful things. And I'll never forget the first time I met this person who's coming up next to accept this award. She was instrumental in getting me involved to get paid, Brother George. I remember it was volunteer at the time, but this was paid. And I'll never forget the first time I walked into the Healthy Start office, my first day there. Didn't know this was the executive director at the time. Someone came down and gave me a stapler and some other supplies. And it was the executive director at that time. I didn't know it was Sister Carmen Anderson. And that meant a lot to me, Sister Carmen. And without you and your help, we sure not would have been where we are today.
That's right.
So please welcome Sister Carmen Anderson.
I will say quickly, thank you so much for those kind words. It was such a privilege to be a part of launching that work at the organization at that time. The notion of supporting men who were supporting their families and supporting their communities and trying to address the many barriers that all of us face was a critical role then, and it's still a critical role today. So it's been my privilege, my honor to work with many of you in the room. Hope to continue to, but just for another minute. And time is up, but thank you so much.
I must say, our careers, our lifestyle, even growing up as young men, kind of follow one another. And I can't say this about too many people that I grew up, that we grew up in the same neighborhood, we went to the same high school, we went to the same college, we started working, he went to work at a place I came to work there when he was there, and we ended up, again, still working together all these years. I love this brother. I don't love all of y'all now, get me wrong. But a special bond between Brother George Flemming and what he's brought to this work.
I am going to save my energy for tomorrow, but I want to say that I really appreciate you all that continue to support the valuable work that I believe we're you're doing. Much like Melvin, I've seen this come a long ways. And the further we go, the higher the mountain becomes. So we have a long ways to continue to climb. I'm glad to see some younger brothers here. We want to be able to pass on the mantle. And we want to do it pretty soon because as you notice, Brother JB's all grade, Melvin's all grade, George's all grade, Brother David with me, but he got that Beijing piece, and Brother Fred's all grade. So as a result of that, we need to pass this on to others. And so please make sure that when you see younger fathers, let them know about the collaboration, get them connected to us so that we can mentor them. So we too, like Sister Carmen said, got a short period to go. Thank you. And don't move. It's impossible for me to put words to, honest to God it is. I don't have a biological brother. It's only my sister and myself. And Melvin and I, we actually go back to grade school. Melvin and I seen the riots at Lormer School, which is now, you see the condo plan? Ooh, Jesus, things are changing. Mayor, Lormer Avenue, I went through the other day, man.
Yeah, I see it the other day too.
Did you see it? They done tore everything down, everything up there. I can't afford it either. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But anyway, God has knitted us together. He really has. You're looking at Johnathan and David relationship-wise. And you know, Johnathan was willing to give up his life for David. And I would give up my life for you, brother. You are a great man. You represent everything good in life. You know what I'm saying? He does. He represents everything good in life. I can be temperamental. And he'll call me, he'll say, Brother Flemming, you know, we can kind of go at this another way. I'm like, without further ado, Brother Melvin, I love you, man.
George, I got to say, 18 more folks I'd put my life down for, but you're one. I would do that too, a couple other in my lifetime. But thank you very much. I do like my mother tells me, she says, when folks say things nice about you, they must mean them. Most of them like me, but I know George. I appreciate the crowd. And Fred's not that old. He ain't up in but he's getting great though, Fred.
That's wisdom, man.
That's right.
With y'all, bro.
When this started, there was a lot of local organizations involved in the father movement. But one national organization came in at that time and got involved with us. And I can never forget when I heard this group called the National Fatherhood Initiative, NFI, coming to Pittsburgh. You know, we said, oh, we got to get right here. But I wasn't really sure what they were going to bring to the table. And the way they came in, it wasn't like they came and got our blessing like they needed our blessing. But you know, when you come in and it's early, you're coming to the table, you're going out to different venues, you like to know who you're going out there with. So when they came in town, they came with fanfare now. They came in with some money, they came with some products, and so we sat back and watched them, we joined the table, and I think one of the things that really solidified the relationship is this young man, we're bringing up here right now, Erik Vecere. He came with the passion, he came with the fire, he came with sincerity, he came with love. So, Brother Erik, glad to be able to give this to you, brother.
Thank you so much. Class of 02, by the way. So when that Brother Mel was talking about 80s and 90s, I want to thank all of you for laying the path so that the foundations that brought us in back in early 2000s was aware of the need to do something, you know, on a broader scale. And also a personal thanks to many of you who helped me cut my teeth coming out of retail management into my position at NFI as a program specialist 20 years ago, and kind of helping me to grow and coaching me in a lot of different ways that I've been able to pass on to other communities around the country. So thank you to you all for everything you've done to invest in me and in the work of NFI.
All right.
You find some of us who are very versatile, can adapt to any situation, can create situations when need be to make sure things are going right. And the next recipient of this Fatherhood Legacy Award is that type of person. He was doing it back in the 80s and the 90s. He's still doing it in 2022. Someone who I have a high regard and respect for, and a lot of in this room who knows him have a high regard and respect for him too. And when I was speaking to someone about the founders, and even though at that time I would see this brother around the Hill House doing things, but I never really knew everything that he did. And so it is a real pleasure to bring up now Brother Carl Redwood.
Yes, sir.
And why this makes it so special to me is because Brother Carl and I had an opportunity to work together as camp counselors. I'll never forget when we were setting up the campfire and everything, they kept saying, they're going to get the wood for the fire and everything. They kept talking about redwood. I was saying, where did Mr. Redwood at? I never knew that was his name. We went out there and let him tell it came. But Brother Carl, you're really somebody special, really. You're a warrior. You have a great amount of wisdom, and we appreciate what you do and what you continue to do for us. Brother Carl Redwood.
Just wanted to mention at Hill House, there was a mother's program in the early 1980s, but there wasn't a father's program. The mother's program was GED, parenting, and the children were in the child care center at Hill House. So the idea was, well, what about the fathers of those children that were in child care? And my first job in 1987 was to start the fathers program with the fathers of the children who were down in the child care center. Later on, it expanded to any fathers in the community that could be part of it. And real quick, I want to say I was door knocking one time to go find one of the fathers. And I knocked on the door, and his mother came to the door, and I said, I wanted to see your son, because he's in the father's program. She said, he ain't no father. And he wasn't. He was coming to the program because he just wanted to come, but he wasn't a father, and I was going to follow up on him. So that was a funny thing on me, that one of the young people in the program wasn't a father, but wanted to be there and in communication with everybody else. But there's a lot to be said for that. Thank you.
Next young man, it's nicer to call him young man now, because it's strange if somebody call me a young man. You know, so I say, but I'm gonna give that out tonight. This person is still on the front line, still doing things that are very positive in our community, for families, for fathers, and has really taken his leadership and his commitment to the community, as they say, to another level. And I'm so proud to be able to hand this to this man, because I can recall the times that we sat around this table and still sitting around this table, getting things together for men and families. And that is Brother David Richardson, Center of Family Excellence.
I'd like to thank all of the folks who are part of a new coming group called Men of Color Who Rescue. And my specialty is working with teen males that are fathers. A lot of times we think 21 is the age to start fatherhood programs. But we know, I was in the emergency room with two 12-year-olds the other day, delivering birth. Johnathan, I remember the spirit of rekindle, redevelop the spirit of You remember that at the table? And I got George over here, and Cathy Rudy, your name rings. Real quick, just short history, I got 20 seconds here. In 1984, the epidemic of crack cocaine hit our country. Prior to that, fathers were not able to get custody consecutively. But in '84, when the mothers went into rehab and they had no foster parents, the father's door opened up. And so when you talk about the 80s, you want to talk about the history of how we arrived. And we're still in place, we still are here, but it's very important that we know that the sisters and the women in this room played a major part in supporting that initiative for us to get in the door. And Carmen Anderson, we thank you for finding money for folks when they didn't have no money for these programs, that you were giving money away and you were letting people on the other side know this is what we're going to do. So I thank everybody, I thank the whole room, and from Dr. Jerome Taylor, our president and founder, we thank all of you.
Yes, sir.
Please.
For Dr. Jerome Taylor, from Center for Family Excellence, his brother David can talk more about Dr. Taylor. I know one thing, in my recent relationship with Dr. Taylor, he was my daughter's advisor when she was a student at Pitt. And we had a real nice time with that relationship. But David, I hope that you can talk a little bit about Dr. Taylor.
All right. Well, Miss Carmen, you played a role in this guy doing okay too. He's 84 years old. He's teaching class right now at this very moment. He just completed a proposal to the UN talking about values for life and how we can change things transformatively. So that's who my boss is, and he's my father figure as well. Thank you.
Well, you know, in this work, you get to travel with some very, very, I would say, uplifting and always inspiring people. The next awardee coming up is just that. When I think back the first time that I met this, and he looks like a young man, and I believe we can call him a young man, because some folks have that look no matter how old they are. I think 20 years from now, he'll still look like a young man. But on a serious note, it's his spirit, it's his heart. It's the way that he can just take adversity, and I've seen adversity in his life, and take that adversity, turn it around, and get back up and continue on the path. And all the while he's on that path, he's helping folks, and people don't know what he's going through. But at the same time, his faith, his commitment to excellence, and also his desire to do the right thing at the right time, I says is impeccable. That's Brother Malcom Thomas. And when he came here tonight, I said it wouldn't be right without him here. And I mean that from the heart.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Good to have him here.
You got to talk about that STEAM Academy now. You got to.
So I don't like to make a speech or anything. I work in a school now as a dean. We have an all-male school in Monroeville. It's called Life. But the more important thing is, as young as people say I am, I'm in my 50s. And so I started at the Young Fathers Program fresh out of college. I was working with boys who were maybe 2 or 3 years younger than myself. One of my mentors, someone I consider a role model all my life, is Mr. Redwood, someone I just always looked up to. And people like Carmen Anderson, Tony was my supervisor. Working with this brother. So there's people all throughout the room that I just admire. So it's just a blessing to still have the vigor and the energy to still do this. I consider myself, I was going through some health challenges, and I'm just going to tell that story last year. And if you've ever had to go to surgery, I had to have one of my organs removed. And I never thought about the surgery until right when I went in, because I had a back problem, I had a herniated disc, and I was in so much pain, I felt like I was being tortured. But the surgery was for another organ. But right before you go in, you have to sign all these papers just in case you die. Anybody ever had surgery? So right before you go in, you got to sign this just in case you died. And it never occurred to me that I might die here today. And so what happened was, I just said to God, I said, I've done everything I can. And if I come out of this, I'm just going to be born again. So I consider myself born again. And so for whatever it takes for the next 20, 30 years, I'm in this with every bit of my fiber. And I want to thank all of you. I've never met someone in my life who can find the good in people like you do and just praise it consistently. It's an amazing God gift that you have to do that. I've always looked up to you for that. And I just think it's a beautiful quality. I mean, you spend your life just affirming people. And I can say something about everybody in this room that I've worked with like that. So I just thank all of you for providing that example, because to me, example is worth a million words. So thank you. Thank you.
Wow. Well, I say the next recipient is someone who quietly came on the scene. But when they came on the scene, they made a strong impact for years. They were in my estimation, someone whose heart was built for this work, who was able to go to lengths to develop new ways to do this work. There was before it was the Common Council of Western Pennsylvania, we had the Fathers Collaborative, which was a mixture of 5 or 6 different agencies. I can't recall all of them, but I do know a few. I know Healthy Start was one. I know the Fathers Resource Center was another. We had Redwood Industries was part of this. But this program extended services in the Allegheny County Jail, Shooting Center, and I think some of these came out of Healthy Start as well. And so this was someone built for that time. And without this person, I think we would miss the mark of where we are today. And that is, we have it on, I'm going to read like it says here. Cathy Rudy. Come on up, sister. You're supposed to clap till they get up here now. That made me have to tell a joke. You don't want that. So, seriously, Cathy, we appreciate what you've done and the legacy that you've left. And anytime we get a chance, I never forget George and I was talking about, where's Cathy Rudy? Right. It's like Carmen San Diego, you know, that used to come on, where's she at? And I was in Sam's one day, just shopping or whatever, and all of a sudden, bam, there was Cathy Rudy. So I took out my phone and did what, Cathy? Got that selfie, bam, and I sent it to George. Really appreciate you, Cathy.
Oh, well, I appreciate you all. I look around and what a joy to see all of you here, and I appreciate the hard work that all of you have done, because I know it's not easy, and I know we keep climbing that hill, but I have never met a group of people who are so determined and do it so well. You know, you guys just do. And it's been a joy to me to be a part of. We've had such a good time, and we've done some really good things together. And I'm in awe of what you guys are continuing to do. So I just want to say I appreciate all of you. I'm looking around seeing some of the old friends. Thank you so very much. It's so nice to be remembered. Thank you.
We had other awards for members who weren't able to be here this evening. But our last one who is here among us this evening is someone who when I met this brother in 1995, and I never forget going up to the office, meeting him and his co-worker. His co-worker's name, Mark Green. It was on top of where the Rosedale cluster. Right. Went up there in the room, they was telling me over, I was on West Street, well, you gotta go visit the brothers, you know, they're all too, you know, so I had a little tie and suit on or whatever, you know. So I go to these guys' office. What an office. Got a nice chair here, a nice couch over here, looked pretty nice, you know, so which down the road became a place where I went and got my nap sometimes. But anyway, meeting these guys for the first time, you know, so they're sitting there looking at me all cross-eyed and talking about, man, if you ain't serious about this work, don't come up in here. If you ain't gonna do the work, don't come up in here. We're serious about what we gotta do. I just look at these guys, they don't know who I am or nothing, you know, but this reception I get. But you know what? From that day on, I said, I got to know this brother very well, I love this brother, and I said, there's only 2 people. If I had to be in the war in a foxhole, I would want in there. One is Nelson Reed. I don't know if you know Nelson Reed, but Nelson Reed was something else. Yeah, he's glad. Nelson on my left, and this brother got bring down to get this brother. Larry D. Davis on my right. Come on, brother. For the hard work you've done, Larry, the things that you continue to do, brother, founding the Coalition for Father and Families, which was an organization that we continue to work with today, for Larry D. Davis. Yes, sir. D is for Darnell. There you go.
mean, we were blessed that God gave us some great warriors that stood beside us, that gave us the blessings to be able to conquer communities, to go in them, and to show what men were. I'd be remiss if I didn't remember one of the first, is Mr. Payne. Now, Carmen, you know Mr. Payne. Johnathan, you know Mr. Payne. I don't know, George, if you met Mr. Payne. But he ran Elmer Hillary. And coming in that area in '95, we didn't have any fathers programs. We didn't have anyone looking out. We didn't have anyone teaching our young men what it is to be a man. We didn't have anyone walking up and saying, man, ask that guy his name, instead of looking at him like you got a problem.
That's right.
We did this. We are warriors. We are warriors, and we are blessed to be. We had people like Cathy Rudy. We had men and women, and they worked together so that we could make our children as one. And that's what we did. And that's what we try to do each and every day that we walk.
One, two, three. There you go.